During your class.
There's some room over here if you want to come.
That's right. Reflection, the material.
Yeah.
I said that reflection.
I try. Teenagers have so I know it's bad. So good morning. Good morning. And welcome to the Mindfulness Tree Meditation community as we gather as a Sangha to support one another in our meditation journey. And Brenda is new. Say hi to Brenda.
Hi, Brenda.
Gary told me about it. So.
Oh, good. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the 5 mindfulness trainings of Master Thich Nhat Hanh before we go into our actual meditation time. And I'll go ahead and read those today. But for the new folks, what these are the mindfulness trainings that are based on the 5 precepts, lay precepts that are given in Buddhism, but with more modern day language to it. And so I'll read what Thich Nhat Hanh writes as the beginning of this, and then we'll hear one, I'll sound a bell, and then we move on to the next one, and we'll move seamlessly into our meditation after that. The 5 mindfulness trainings are guidelines for how to live our daily lives in a way that nourishes happiness and transforms ill-being. The 5 mindfulness trainings are also the kind of thinking and acting that have the power to heal. You can recite them daily or monthly, alone or with a group, to renew your intentions and as inspiration to practice. The first mindfulness training, reverence for life. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I am committed to cultivating the insight of interbeing, compassion, and learning ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I am determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to support any act of killing in the world in my thinking or in my way of life. Seeing that harmful actions arise from anger, fear, greed, and intolerance, which in turn come from dualistic and discriminative thinking, I will cultivate openness, non-discrimination, and non-attachment to views in order to transform violence, fanaticism, and dogmatism in myself and in the world. The second mindfulness training, true happiness. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I am committed to practicing generosity in my thinking, speaking, and acting. I am determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others, and I will share my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in need. I will practice looking deeply to see that the happiness and suffering of others are not separate from my own happiness and suffering. That true happiness is not possible without understanding and compassion, and that running after wealth, fame, power, and sensual pleasures can bring much suffering and despair. I am aware that happiness depends on my mental attitude, not on external conditions, and that I can live happily in the present moment simply by remembering that I already have more than enough conditions to be happy. I am committed to practicing right livelihood so that I can help reduce the suffering of living beings on Earth and reverse the process of global warming. third mindfulness training, true love. Aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct, I am committed to cultivating responsibility and learning ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, couples, families, and society. Knowing that sexual desire is not love and that sexual activity motivated by craving always harms myself as well as others, I am determined not to engage in sexual relations without true love and a deep, long-term commitment made known to my family and friends. I will do everything in my power to protect children from sexual abuse and to prevent couples and families from being broken by sexual misconduct. Seeing that body and mind are one, I am committed to learning appropriate ways to take care of my sexual energy and cultivating loving kindness, compassion, joy, and inclusiveness, which are the four basic elements of true love, for my greater happiness and the greater happiness of others. Practicing true love, we know that we will continue beautifully into the future. The fourth mindfulness training, loving speech and deep listening. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others, I am committed to cultivating loving speech and compassionate listening in order to relieve suffering and to promote reconciliation and peace in myself and among other people, ethnic and religious groups, and nations. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I am committed to speaking truthfully, using words that inspire confidence, joy, and hope. When anger is manifesting in me, I am determined not to speak. I will practice mindful breathing and walking in order to recognize and to look deeply into my anger. I know that the roots of anger can be found in my wrong perceptions and lack of understanding of the suffering in myself and in the other person. I will speak and listen in a way that can help myself and the other person to transform suffering and see the way out of difficult situations. I am determined not to spread news that I do not know to be certain and not to utter words that cause division or discord. I will practice right diligence to nourish my capacity for understanding, love, joy, and inclusiveness, and gradually transform anger, violence, and fear that lie deep in my consciousness. The fifth mindfulness training, nourishment and healing. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I am committed to cultivating good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I will practice looking deeply into how I consume the four kinds of nutriments, namely edible foods, sense impressions, volition, and consciousness. I am determined not to gamble or to use alcohol, drugs, or any other products that contain toxins, such as certain websites, electronic games, TV programs, films, magazines, books, and conversations. I will practice coming back to the present moment to be in touch with the refreshing, healing, and nourishing elements in me and around me, not letting regrets and sorrow drag me back into the past, nor letting anxieties, fear, or craving pull me out of the present moment. I am determined not to try to cover up loneliness, anxiety, or other suffering by losing myself in consumption. I will contemplate interbeing and consume in a way that preserves peace, joy, and well-being in my body and consciousness, and in the collective body and consciousness of my family, my society, and the earth. Listen, listen. The sound of the bell calls me back to my true home. And so we begin our time of seated meditation by inviting ourselves to be present in this moment, to arrive and settle. We settle the body, and in turn we settle the mind, moving from our daily activities to being present for ourselves and for one another and for the good of all sentient beings. And we welcome ourselves to our true home in this present moment. And as we sit together, I invite you to set an intention, a motivation for why you have come today, and perhaps an intention that you will carry into the week of why you meditate. So just take a moment or two to set an intention. And with this intention in mind, we align our body in the seated position, aligning the spine from bottom to top, bringing a sense of relaxation yet mindful awareness. Noticing the body, placement of the feet, seat. Perhaps allowing the shoulders to relax, softening the face. And into this space, we invite our good friend, mindfulness. In the Pali language, the word is sati, which carries with it a sense of openness, curiosity, spaciousness, vastness. Our companion as we meditate, reminding us to be present. Noticing where there might be some tension in the body, bringing compassion and loving kindness to those places. noticing that the body is breathing. This breath is involuntary, happening from the moment we are born until the moment we die, but yet carries us in this life. And in our meditation, the breathing is often the object that we follow. That connects us to life, that connects us to one another and to the world. So for the next few minutes, we're going to follow our breath, bringing a gentle focus, which is concentration. Not a hard focus that makes us furrow our brow, but that sense of mindfulness, of curiosity. And so I invite you now to just simply follow your breath. The inhale and the exhale. And just become curious about it, allowing it simply to unfold. Find that your mind has wandered away from following the breaths. You can try counting the breaths, inhaling 1, exhaling 2, inhaling 2, exhaling 2, inhaling 3, exhaling 3, and you can take that up to 10, and then just begin again. Allowing the counting to be very gentle, gentle touch. And if you lose count, you'll notice that you have perhaps lost count of the breath, and just simply begin again. we come to the end of this formal sitting and transition into walking meditation, I invite you to bring back to mind the intention that we made at the beginning of our meditation. And take that into your walking meditation and into your day, into your week, as a reminder of what your motivation is. So thank you for your meditation, your presence today. And now we transition into walking meditation for the next about 10 minutes. And so, Brenda, you can just follow. We go to the sanctuary or the social hall. Please just follow what others are doing. We try to avoid crossing. But to take that breathing into your walking meditation of either counting or using the footsteps as a way of following the breath. So we move into the sanctuary and the social hall. And Cindy stays here to do her meditation, so if you've got valuables or anything like that, she's here to ward off anybody that might come to walk off with your valuables.
It's 40%. A lesson in, focus.